We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully your day is going well. We have the good fortune of having listener Lisa back with us again today, and she was kind of anxious about talking today because of all the things that happened yesterday, all the court activity. Lisa, thanks for joining us once again, and you're a little jazzed up about this, weren't you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a very exciting day. I kind of woke up late, and it's a good thing I did because when I woke up, everything had already happened.
Yeah.
So I was especially uh kind of got the belly laugh because Trump's attorneys attacked Chutkan in the courtroom. I mean, they were screaming at her. And he was calling her all kinds of names and saying it was a miscarriage of justice. And she finally just yelled, "Enough, take it down, take the temperature down," she
Yeah.
says.
Well, the thing about it is, just so the folks who are listening, maybe they don't know that in that court case with Judge Chutkan, it was to be decided when the trial would start. Donald Trump's team wanted April 26, 2026, and Jack wanted January 2nd. So she split the difference, but not really.
Right.
She made it March 4th of 2024. And this kind of enraged Donald Trump's legal team. And I'll tell you why it enraged them is because they know that Daddy Trump is going to be pissed, and they will do anything to avoid Donnie Trump's wrath, even if it's absolutely ridiculous. So now they have to go back and tell Donald Trump about this, and they know they're going to get some shit. This is what the lawyers did. They put themselves in this position, and now they're slaves to Donald Trump's stupidity.
Well, that's exactly right. And he has, I don't know if you've seen it, but he has been on Truth Social just repeatedly posting and posting and posting. And the things that I mean, even the content of the text itself, and he spelled rumor, ROOMER. I mean, he misspells word, he randomly capitalizes words and, all caps words. I mean, it's almost like he's drinking.
Well,
because it's that crazy.
Do you think the spelling of rumor, ROOMER, might be a tip of the hat to groomer?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not above doing that, doing these little things on
No.
the side just to infer something. Well, Donald Trump not only showed his anger, but he showed his stupidity.
Yeah.
He said that the judge was biased, that she was this, she was that. He's going to have to pay a price for that ultimately. But then he says, we're going to appeal it. Well, clearly he didn't talk to his lawyers beforehand, because you can't appeal a trial start.
No, you cannot. No, you can't.
This dumb motherfucker thinks he can appeal everything to the Supreme Court. But Donnie, I'm sorry. You're going to get a slap in the face when you find out you can't. You're stuck with it. When the judge says, see, he thinks he's more powerful than the judge. And he likes to control everything. He likes to be the top dog. But in this court case, he won't be, and it's going to drive him fucking nuts.
No, I know it. I know it. Oh, and one quick thing before I forget. Did you happen to take notice? Mark Meadows testified today, which all the lawyers and prosecutors and all the professionals are saying that was the worst thing he could have done, because Fonnie Willis got to cross-examine him, and everything that came out of his mouth can now be used against him in his trial. But the judge said, I'm going to take this into consideration, but the lower court's proceedings can still move forward.
Right.
Now, that usually means that they're going to remand it back down.
Typically, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I sit and watch the media, and I listen to some of these moderators, and they'll go, what happens if they send it to the federal court? Does that mean everybody's going to federal court? I don't even know why we're discussing it. They're not going to send it to the federal court. It's just not going to happen. And he's not going to get it dismissed either. This is just a just a grandstanding play, hoping against hope that something will happen, and it's not going to. I don't know why people want to keep playing with this and getting worried about it. Mark Meadows is going to have to stand trial in Georgia. He's going to get convicted, and he's going to have to deal with the consequences. Or he's going to have to flip on Donald Trump again, because clearly he already did that with the feds.
Yeah, so, he did.
I get very irritated.
And he did it again today on the stand, Mike.
He did.
He said, he set up a call for Trump and Raffensperger so Trump could discuss a less litigious way to deal with his election concerns.
Yeah. Now, I don't know all the laws in Georgia. I'm not an expert on Georgia law, but I heard some legal analysts talking, and one of them said that once he kind of gave away the Fifth Amendment privilege of not talking, once he did that, that took all of that away from him. So when he's in court, he can't plead the Fifth anymore, which was a dumb move, which tells me that Mark Meadows was in desperation mode. He was taking a risk because he really wants this to go to federal court or dismissed. He's going to be disappointed, though. That risk is not going to be advisable in the end.
No, it definitely. I don't know why his attorneys allowed him on the stand. That was a death sentence, really.
Yeah.
Because everything that came out of his mouth can now be used against him in this trial.
Yeah, it absolutely can. And it will be. It will be.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to what we've said about Republicans before. They've always had control. They've always been able to game the system, to bully or push their way through. And now they're experiencing something they never experienced. All these strategies, all these tactics, these bullying tactics are not working. And they're kind of freaking out about it because they don't know what to do now. There's nothing left for them to do.
Right. And the GOP is, I don't know if you saw all during the day, I keep seeing the GOP is losing their ever-loving minds, what little they've had, because they're going from state to state, each state. Well, Charlie Kirk started a rumor on his show that the New Hampshire governor was going to take Trump off the ballot. Okay, so that started all these Trump supporters in all these states calling and saying, you better not take him off the ballot. And they bombarded all these governors and secretaries of states in all these states saying, you better not take him off the ballot. It started this major rush of all these GOP Republicans trying to impeach all the AGs and secretaries of states in states where he lost.
Right. Well, he
won.
Yeah. It only really matters if they take him off the ballot in the states he won or the swing states. And all he needs is a couple of those states taken away, and he just mathematically cannot win. There are some states already in the process of doing that. And this is all tied to that third section of the 14th Amendment, where people are saying that he already disqualified himself. And since there are, it's not like he can be taken to court over this or do all this kind of stuff. The states individually have to take it on themselves, and the secretaries of state have to decide to take him off the ballot. Now, when they do that, they're likely to get sued.
Of course. Yeah.
And actually what's happening, I think in Florida, there is a lawyer suing to have him taken off the ballot in Florida. So that lawsuit will have to go. And actually,
and somebody in California did. Yeah, somebody in California, another attorney in California did the same thing.
And California is of no value to the cause here because they're going to go for Biden anyway. But Florida could be a different situation. And so could Texas and Arizona and Ohio and Michigan, any one of those states. And I see Michigan as a possibility. If you take away Michigan from Donald Trump, that might be enough to get him to lose.
Yes, I agree. And Michigan has said, they have come out and said they are considering taking him off the ballot.
Right. Yeah. I think there's going to be so much working against Donald Trump. I mean, we heard the story. I talked about the story where he was upset because he couldn't go to a golf tournament at his golf course in Scotland. He was whining and
Yeah,
crying about that because of that deranged Jack Smith. Well, the reason he couldn't go is because Scotland said, no, bitch,
yeah,
you're indicted. You're not coming over here. We're not going to get stuck with you. So now he's whining and pissing and mowing. And once again,
that's exactly right.
he has no
Hmm.
control. He can't do everything he wants to do, and that's foreign to him.
Oh,
You-
definitely. This is all this is definitely foreign to him. He has never been told no and actually had to deal with it.
yeah,
When he gets told no, he says, "Oh, you can't be talking to me."
right, right.
That kind of thing. But he's being told no in all kinds of situations now, and he's not liking it. And he's going off on Truth Social. I mean, Don Jr. went on and said they're indicting my father again. He's a vibrant, young, healthy man, and they're trying to throw him in prison for 700 years and only one sentence, it'll kill my father. How could you people think about doing this? Yeah.
Because we're vindictive motherfuckers, and we should be, given what he tried to do to this country. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it may not be very Christian of me, but like I said, I hope he gets sentenced to prison, and I hope he lives a long and healthy life.
Yeah, in prison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It wouldn't be fair for him to die too soon because then he wouldn't suffer.
yeah. There wouldn't be any closure to that, and and
No.
and you know, I think that I also heard about the Scotland thing. Uh, the country of Scotland is looking into how, in fact, Donald Trump even got this golf course. They think there
Yep.
might be some underhanded stuff, and they're going to want to talk to Eric Trump. And Eric, a little fucking nervous about that. He's kind of
Yeah.
screaming like a stuck pig too.
Yep, yeah, there, yeah. The it seems like the roof is caving in from so many different directions.
Right. Well,
I
that
don't know how he can. I don't know if his health. He's not a healthy person.
no,
He's not,
no.
and I don't know how his health is going to hold up as this keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
No, and I think of anybody who is more excited about the prospect of Donald Trump being taken out of the equation, it's got to be the Republicans, because all he does is drag down that party. They have no chance in 2023 with or without Donald Trump, but it's worse with Donald Trump dragging them down.
Right, Chris Sununu. Did you see that interview with Chris Sununu?
No, I didn't.
The Republican governor. Yeah, he's saying the same exact thing. He said, he's destroying the Republican Party. We need to get him off the ballot, off the ticket, because we are not going to win with Trump. I guarantee you we won't win. He said, the American voters are tired of all his drama. He said, we need to get somebody in there who gives us a chance to win the election. So he's reaching out to other Republican governors to back him up on this. So we'll see what happens.
Well, if I was to talk to Chris Sununu, and he's all right. He's all right. He's like Nikki Haley. He's like all these other people. They're
Yeah.
trying to seem reasonable now, but they were all Trump humpers at one point. And I'm sorry, I'm
Yep.
not going to forgive you for that. But what I would
Mhm.
say to Chris Sununu is, what do you mean he's destroying the party? He already destroyed the party. And if
Right.
and if not Donald Trump, I wonder who Chris Sununu, who has a fucking chance to win in 2024. I say nobody. No
No,
Republican.
no, that's
Not
what he was
possible.
kind of saying. He was begging, he was kind of saying he was reaching out to other Republicans. And I know another media source, I think it was Midas Touch, said that there is a group of Republicans going to other prominent Republicans who could possibly do well as president and asking them to run.
Well, this is a hell of a time to do that. We're
Yeah, it's
we're we're
getting a
still
little
away.
late now, isn't it?
Yeah, we're still a ways away, but the primary season is coming up. If there's somebody they want to run in place of Donald Trump, they're going to have to do it. and they're going to have to pull the votes of the cold dead hands of the MAGA fucks, because it doesn't matter who you put up, they're not going to vote against Donald Trump.
Right. No, 41, actually, this new poll came out today. 41% of independents say they would never vote for Trump at this point. So that's a good thing.
It's a good thing, but I got to tell you, this is something they should have noticed 2.5 years ago, at the very least. The fact that they've held on this long is really disconcerting, and is going to be destructive to their future. Their careers and their personal reputations are going to be shot the longer they hold on to this thought of Donald Trump being a great guy and their Lord and Savior.
Yeah, I don't understand this, because if you step back to 2016 when he was running then, I mean, he had nothing to offer.
Well,
The quote base that he had, most of his base lives below poverty level. They're basically uneducated, like he says. I love the uneducated, so there you go. But they don't have a lot of money, and his charisma is grabbing them and not letting go, because he did not do anything for those people.
no.
Those people got nothing. The rich got tax cuts.
And people always talk about Donald Trump and charisma, and I don't think I really call that charisma. Charisma is something where you talk and people get a warm feeling about you, or people feel like they trust you, and it's just something that they're drawn to. Donald Trump is like a fucking slap in the face, and somebody holding a gun to your head and said, "Believe me, don't believe anything else." And there are certain people out there that are susceptible to falling into that trap. They like the tough guy. They're weak in their own right, so they want a tough guy leading them, and they don't care who the fuck it is.
Right. Yep. And that's just the sad part, is that they don't even realize that he is destroying their way of life. They don't even see it. And I don't get that. I really struggle with understanding how you can sit there and not see what he's done to you.
It's impossible to talk to Trump the fucks, because they are so. I've told the story on the podcast a while back, the last couple, about the woman I met at the casino whose husband was a Trump humper.
Yeah.
And she told me, she goes, he's brainwashed, because that's not how he was before. She knew how he was before, and now how he is now. And that's truly amazing that some guy on television who's a politician, when we're in a country that most people didn't pay attention to politics for a long, long time, somehow he had the power to brainwash these people and make them believe. And after all that's gone by, all that we've seen, all that we've heard, there's some people out there that are still very strongly connected and supporting Donald Trump. And they're either misinformed, ill-advised, or just flat out stupid. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't get it. I kind of liken it to the TV evangelist problems we had in the 80s, where people were giving their life savings to these and refinancing their homes to give these evangelists money.
Right.
I kind of liken it to that.
Well, and they get their legitimacy from saying, "I'm doing it for God," when they aren't doing it for God. Personally, and there may be some religious folks out there that disagree with me or even get mad at me about this, I think a lot of the problems we're having in this country right now politically are religiously based, because of the evangelicals and the Roe v. Wade overturning that, and just, this country, people telling us that this is a Christian country when it's not. It never was, never will be. I mean, there are Christians in it, of course, but there are Muslims. There's all kinds of people in this country. But the Christians want to push it on you.
That's why we tried to get away from England. That's part of the reason why we left England, is because we didn't want to be under the rule of the church.
And I've dealt with a bunch of different religions in my life. I knew I had a friend that was a Jehovah Witness. I spent some time in Arizona, where it was predominantly Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
I married a Catholic. She's not a practicing Catholic, but I knew a lot of Catholics growing up. And the one thing that all of those religions always said, they basically suggested, if you don't believe like we believe, you're going to hell. You got to
Right.
be like us, or you're going to hell. And that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
how the evangelicals are. If you don't believe in outlawing abortion, then you're going to hell. And that caught
Yep.
fire. That caught fire with a lot of people of a like mind, whether they knew anything or not. And it's kind of an either or. You're either
Right.
with God or you're with the devil. And it's
Right.
fucking ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and that's the whole QAnon and the whole Christian fundamentalist.
Right.
That's their whole spew,
Well, and it's funny,
you know.
the people who are spewing the religious stuff, it's just a show for those actual religious people. Because the people like Donald Trump or QAnon, they aren't religious at all. They don't believe in
No,
God. They don't believe in
no,
what's good about God. They're just
no.
using it against them. These religious folks, the evangelicals or the fundamentalists, they're useful idiots, and they don't realize it. All they know is these guys say the word God, so they must be good.
Right. Yep, that's exactly right. And it's driven such a wedge between normal and not normal, I guess. I'm trying to think of a better way to put it, but it has driven a wedge between the good Christian people,
Right.
the people who, and then there's these weirdos, and it's making it very difficult for the good Christians to even coexist anymore
Well,
because they say, yes, I'm a Christian, and people automatically go, oh God.
and I think what we need to understand is that you don't have to be Christian, Muslim, um, Catholic. You don't have to be any of those things to be good. You could
No.
be an atheist and be good. That's what it's all
Yep,
about, is what kind of human being are you? Uh,
absolutely.
I feel like the religious say, well, I'm allowed to be a bad person or do these bad things because I'm doing it for a greater good for God. Now, if you understand God at all, that's totally fucking wacko.
Yeah.
Uh, so, so I think that's where we get into the problems. And now with our politicians latched onto that because it was working, and now it's not
Hmm.
working. Somebody like
Hmm.
Mark Meadows, he's a big stuffed shirt guy, made a lot of money, had some power. Now he's going on trial and probably going to jail. This has got to be
Hmm.
devastating for him, his family, and all the other fucks that are going to jail.
Oh yeah, and see, this is what I don't get. And not only have they destroyed their own careers, but they've destroyed their families,
Yeah.
their immediate families, their kids, their wives, their husbands. They've destroyed all of that. For what? For Donald Trump. And where is it getting them? But
Yeah.
jail. And
It,
it's so sad that they couldn't see that coming.
it is very cultish. I think back to when I was young during the 60s when you had Charles Manson.
Hmm.
Okay, Charles Manson was a cult leader and had all these kids. I mean, literally kids,
Yep, they
teenagers,
were
early
kids. Yep,
20s.
yep,
And somehow their minds were swayed to go out and kill people.
yep.
Those young kids ended up spending their lives in jail.
Lives in prison. In fact, one was just pardoned by
Right.
what's his face and let out, which I didn't agree with at all.
But but it's amazing the destruction that the wake they leave of destruction just
Mhm.
to benefit themselves, just to enrich themselves. And that's what people have to understand, is they're going to run you over and drag you down the road just to get what they want. And
Yep.
and if you're smart, you'll get away from it. And if you're dumb, you'll say, "Oh, give us more." And that's unfortunately what some people still do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't. I. I just. I tried to think of some reasonable uh answer to why anybody would still support him. I mean, there's people posting his mugshot saying, I support him no matter how many indictments, and, all these. Trump even posted a meme. He photoshopped Joe Biden's picture into his mugshot. Did you see
No, I
that?
didn't see it.
Oh my God.
That's
Yeah. So he
pitiful.
did that too. Yeah. It was crazy. But oh, dang it. The train left again, Mike.
That's all right. One of the things I was thinking about is something you said, how Donald Trump today went out on Truth Social and was ranting and raving and going nuts and saying stupid shit like he's going to appeal. That's one of the things I was a little disappointed, at least with what I know now. When they had this hearing with Judge Chutkan, I honestly thought she might address that situation because it's become a little ridiculous. She's even getting death threats. Why wouldn't she bring that up?
She didn't bring it up at all.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. I don't get it. She already told him. She said, I will, throw you in jail because you can't be threatening people. And now she's getting death threats along with her family members,
Right.
and she does nothing.
I don't understand that. I have to believe she's going to do something. Now, one of the things she said she would do um, was have the trial faster if he kept talking.
Right.
Okay, she set the trial date for March 4th. You can't
Right.
really do it much faster than that. So that punishment is off the table now. Presumably, he's
Right.
already been punished for it with this early date. And so what's next? What can she do? I thought at least she'd say, listen, one more time, you're going to jail. I can't help it.
Yeah.
But
She
from
didn't
what
even
I've
say
heard,
that.
no, I think there's going to be the transcripts released from it, maybe even tonight or tomorrow. Maybe that'll tell us something different, but this is certainly something she's going to have to address and something Judge McAfee will ultimately have to address down in Georgia, because they can't just let him run roughshod saying whatever the fuck he wants and put people in danger.
Right. No, I think what's going to happen. Oh, that's the other thing Don Jr. did. He went on the internet and compared his father to Martin Luther King Jr., spending time in that same jail. Martin Luther King got arrested and put in that same jail at one point.
Yeah.
And he says, so, now my dad's there and at least he's in good company. And, my dad's like Martin Luther King Jr. He's a fighter. And oh, God, it was just disgusting. It was
Well,
disgusting.
I'll tell you the big difference between Donald Trump and Martin Luther King. He didn't come up in a 40-car motorcade, ushered into the
Yeah.
building, and rushed out in 20 minutes. That's not what happened to Martin Luther King. He sat in there for a while. So it's absolutely
Yeah.
ridiculous for Eric and these people. They'll jump on anything and try to make it look good. And it's almost childish at this point.
Yeah.
And only stupid people could possibly be affected by that. You have to laugh at an Eric Trump or a Don Jr. or even Donald Trump, the things he says. But as time goes on, I did a TikTok probably a month ago, and I said, I want you to mark this day because this day will be the best day of Donald Trump's life. And it's a shitty day. And what I meant by that was every day it's going to get worse. And that's kind of what's happened. Every day
Yeah.
gets worse, and there's always something around the corner. I mean, we've got the lawsuit in New York coming up October
Yes.
2nd.
October 2nd.
We're a little over a month away from that. And that could cost him $250 million and kick out the Trumps from New York as far as doing business. That's going to be devastating for a guy who already doesn't have any money. So what do they do then? They go and take his property. That is why Donald Trump tried to put Mar-a-Lago in his son's name. So they
Well,
couldn't do that.
he got a money exchange for that. He got 470 something million from Don Jr. and then put it in his name. But that's not going to work because you can't transfer. Everybody's saying, well, he wasn't indicted when he did that. Yes, he was. He wasn't indicted in
It
Georgia, but he had 3 other indictments.
it
He
doesn't
can't
matter.
transfer assets.
it doesn't matter if he was indicted or not. It's about a timing thing. Like, for example, I put my homes in my son's names,
Right.
both of them, one in each, and my mother put her place in my brother's and sister's name to be handled afterwards. But the thing about it is if anything would have happened to my mom or me in within 5 years, that whole transaction is null and void. You have to have 5 years of standing in making this move, so people can't come at the last minute and just put their name, put somebody else.
Now, is that a standard law across the country?
I don't know. It is here, but the thing is, there would have to be some protection from people trying to scam the system by feeding it out to other people. I would presume 3 to 5 years is probably a standard. The bottom line is, if we did it 2 or 3 months before he thought he was going to be sued and lose it, that would prove a little fraudulent, and there would be court cases about that.
And that's exactly what's going to happen, because he cannot sell any assets at this point.
No. And he's going to try. But what's so funny about it is he obviously did that without the advice of his lawyer. Because his lawyer would know that you can't do that. Just like he said he was going to appeal the trial date. He obviously didn't talk to his lawyer, because his lawyer, we would hope, would say, yeah, Donnie, that's not a thing. We can't fucking do that. So
do you remember what happened in Bedminster, though? He put his ex-wife's body in that golf course because now it's a cemetery. It's considered a family cemetery, and they can't take it from him.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why he did it.
I will tell Donnie, that's thinking ahead, motherfucker.
Yeah.
That's thinking ahead. Well, at least he'll have Bedminster, but it'll be cold in the winter, so he'll hate that, and he won't be able to golf in Bedminster in January. Lisa, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Listener Lisa is our guest today. And I give Lisa a lot of credit. She feeds me a lot of information. She's on top of this shit way more than I am. I kind of look at a bunch of different things. I see something that interests me, and I kind of devour it very quickly. Lisa is a little more thorough than I am, so I count on her for the information she sends. And what other kinds of things have you been looking at?
Oh, there's just all kinds of stuff coming out left and right. It seems like you just read one thing and something else is coming up. Right. But like I said, the Republicans are losing their mind. Oh, Kevin McCarthy posted today that he is going to put up impeachment inquiry against Joe Biden without a vote on the floor.
Really? Without taking it to committee or anything, just put it on the floor?
Yep. No, they're not going to even, he's going to do it without putting it on the floor. There's not going to be a vote, nothing, because too many of the quote normal, what do we call normal Republicans? I don't even know. But they're saying, they've already told him they're not going to vote for an impeachment. Don't even bother. So he said, fine, I won't put it to vote. I'm just going to do it.
So what's he going to do? Another hearing and investigation like Jim Jordan's done and made a fool of? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, end of September when they come back, they're going to start impeachment inquiry.
You know, and that's the big difference. I think a lot of people don't understand. When you hear impeachment, you think they're going to have this hearing and impeach Joe Biden. They're having an inquiry. The meaning they're looking into it. And I have a theory about Kevin McCarthy on this. Kevin McCarthy is using this as leverage for something else, I think, because Kevin McCarthy knows it's a loser, but he's trying to appease MAGA. And the reason he's trying to appease MAGA because he's looking ahead. We also have to deal with these budget proposals, because if they don't come to some agreement by the end of the month, then the government shuts down. Kevin McCarthy doesn't want that to happen because it'll look badly on the Republicans. The MAGA fucks don't care. So
No,
basically what he's going to do is he's going to say, listen, we're going to do this inquiry. We're going to give you what you want. But God, don't let the country shut down, because it'll shut down the investigation too. He's trying to
right.
play with the MAGA fucks to get his way on the budget thing, so we don't get shut down. He's having to play a balancing act, and he's so fucking weak. He's going to
Oh,
look
he's
bad in
very
this no
weak.
matter what.
Well, what happened is the Freedom Caucus sent him a letter stating if he does not shut down the government the minute they go back into session, they are going to take him down. They're going to remove him from his position. They made no bones about it. It was flat out, do this or you're done.
See, now that's the thing. That's a bullying tactic, and
Yep.
that's bullshit. MAGA could say, "I'll take you down," but why didn't they take him down after the debt ceiling?
Yeah.
They
Right.
didn't do shit. You know why? It's because they can't win that. And as
Right.
soon as they try to take him down and they fail, then they give the appearance of being weak. So they can
Yep.
say whatever they want about Kevin McCarthy. There's not going to be a vote on no confidence because they can't win and they don't want to expose
Right.
themselves as weak.
I agree. I agree. I don't understand why there. Well, I do understand it. This is all being done to try to shut down uh the whole Trump investigations.
Right.
I mean, they've got the Republicans in Georgia are putting together something to get Bonnie Willis out. I why they have no grounds to get her out. I don't understand that. But apparently this panel that Kemp, this law that Kemp signed into law earlier this year, says they don't need a reason.
Um, I've talked about this on the podcast before. I think people are getting too up in arms about this. There's a lot of things about this bill that was passed, or this law that was passed, that Kemp signed into. It's a lot of people think it's the legislature that's just going to fire Fonnie Willis for no reason. And that's really not what's going to happen. As you said, there's a panel, and on this panel are lawyers and judges. The reason this
Mhm.
panel was put together was to reprimand or punish people who weren't prosecuting enough. And
Right.
that's
Rogue.
not the case with Fonnie Willis. She is prosecuting somebody, and it's not like she just picked it out of the air and said, "I'm doing it." It went through a special grand jury and
That's right.
a regular grand jury.
That's right.
Even if they try to do it, it's not going to work. But moreover, this is supposed to take effect in October 1st, but there are a couple lawsuits against it. They're going to do the Republican thing. They're going to put them in court, and it's going to extend out another 6 months to a year, maybe take it to the Supreme Court. By the time they get to that point, if they really are going to try to get
She's
Fonnie
gonna
Willis
be
out,
done.
she'll
Yeah.
be done. And then when
Yeah.
she's done, if they want to fire her, good, because she'll get a job in fucking New York on Madison Avenue making $1 billion a year.
Absolutely.
And Donald Trump will be sitting on his ass in a fucking jail cell in Fulton County. So
Yep.
yeah, I think the media really hypes that up a lot and thinks it's going to be really a big deal because they want you worried and want you excited about it. I don't think that's going to be a factor at all. It's just, it's just all these people guessing, oh my God, they're going to game the system. This is what I don't
Mhm.
understand. And I'm going to tell you this, Lisa, because a lot of people do this. All of the fears we've had with Donald Trump and the Republicans originated from shit Donald Trump and Republicans said.
Absolutely.
And it's because Democrats believed what they said. We know they are pathological liars. Stop believing
Yeah.
what they fucking say. Look at the
Hmm.
facts, look at the logic, and then make your own choice. You don't have to have Donald Trump or any other Trump will fuck tell you what's going to happen because they don't fucking know.
Right. Right. Oh yeah, that's a good perspective. Definitely. Yeah. They I don't know. I I think they are making a lot of noise trying to distract
Mhm.
because they really have no leg to stand on
No.
in any of these Oh, the judge, the new Democratic judge, was at Wisconsin. I think it was Wisconsin, where it's a red state, but their Supreme Court had three conservative, three liberal. No, they had four conservative, three liberal. The one conservative is retiring, and a liberal won that spot.
Mhm.
Well, now they're going to impeach her because a case is going to her about the gerrymandering and of the voting maps in Wisconsin.
Right.
So now they're trying to impeach her before the case comes before her.
Yeah. Well, they try to do a lot of things. Jim Jordan likes to have hearings and he's going to expose Joe Biden for all the criminality, except, he's got everything in line, except he has no evidence or witnesses. These people
Right.
are taking, half-ass attacks, hoping it will stick. You can't just impeach somebody for nothing.
Yeah.
And unless you're just, you're all Republican legislature, maybe they could pull something like that off. But we know with Roe v. Wade and such with these states, the people aren't happy about it. They aren't voting for what the Republicans want. There's going to be a backlash if they actually pull this stuff off. And the Republicans are going to take a fucking pounding in 2024. We might have to deal with some bullshit between now and 2024. But the more bullshit we have to deal with, the more it's going to cost them and the bigger they're going to lose.
Right. I agree. And, and I think I see during that election period in November on election day, I can just see all kinds of things hitting the courts because the Republic MAGA is going to fight this election. They're going to.
Well, yeah, they might, but after all these people are indicted and charged and presumably on trial for those things, let me put it to you this way. After we had January 6th and that violence, every time something came up with Donald Trump, an indictment, arraignment, or whatever, everybody thought, "Oh my God, it's gonna get crazy, it's gonna get violent," but it never did.
Right.
Two reasons: because people were afraid, and
Mhm.
most of those motherfuckers are already in jail. So
Yeah.
what I'm telling you is that when we get to that point in 2024, a lot of these people that caused this shit, the fake election and all that other stuff, they're going to be so tied up, they're going to be in jail, and then there's going to be new people going, "Yeah, I don't want no part of that shit." So I don't know that it's going to be all that big a deal with people fighting back against the election. They saw what it got them this time around, so why do it again? At that point, the only thing the Republicans can do is say, "Look, man, we fucked up. We need to step back and
Yeah.
reimagine ourselves." That's what's going to happen.
Well, I would hope so, but I doubt it. Did you see, I forgot to tell you this, the fake electors are trying to get their cases moved into federal court because they say they were acting at the order of Donald Trump. So therefore they were acting in a federal capacity. Therefore, their case needs to be moved to federal court. Can I tell you that's not going to work?
Well, it's not going to work, and even if it did, so what?
Yeah.
So what? I mean,
She's still going to prosecute them.
she's still going to prosecute him. It's not going to do that. First of all, they aren't going to move it to federal court. Just not going to
No,
happen. But even if they did, that doesn't make it easier for them. I mean,
no.
basically they're saying, well, Meadows is doing it, so maybe we should do it. Well, Meadows
Yeah.
is in a different situation, and Meadows has more of a Meadows has 10 times the chance of getting it to go federal than those electors, and Meadows has no chance. So
No.
why are we
No.
even fucking talking about this? Because
Exactly.
it's a big joke. It's a big waste of time. It's not going to happen. Meadows is not going to federal court. He's not getting his shit dismissed. It's just not going to happen. And these electors, they're just
Yeah,
spinning
but did
around. They
you
don't know
see
what to
what do
do.
you yeah, but do you see what they just did? They just implemented Trump in the fake elector scheme. They by saying, oh, We did it on his orders.
Yeah,
So they just implicated him.
they're flipping on Donald Trump without getting a deal. That shows how dumb they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't have a deal yet, so they're saying, "Oh yeah,
Nope.
Donald Trump told me." I mean, we heard that a lot from the insurrectionists too, that got
Right.
Proud Boys, Oath Keepers. Well, we were taking orders from Donald Trump, and all of that
That's what they
implicates
said.
Donald Trump, and
Mm-hmm.
that shit is going to come out in the trial.
Right. That's why I think, Mike, there's got to be more superseding indictments coming.
Oh, no
There has
question,
to be.
absolutely, there's going to be. I mean, the sitting members of Congress, they're going to get some of them because Jack Smith hired 2 lawyers to look into the sitting members of Congress. He didn't do that
Right.
just for fun. He did that because he knew there were some crimes there. And
Right.
that is when the fucking circus is going to start. We're going to see a
Yeah.
lot of screaming motherfuckers when that happens.
Well, I think that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene she's gone off the deep end too, posting all kinds of crazy shit, but she hasn't posted since his fourth indictment. She hasn't said a word about being his VP anymore. She
No,
has not said a word. And then she's gone off on this crazy, defending Trump no matter what and coming up with these crazy defenses for him. And yeah, she's gone off the deep end too, because Jack Smith got a hold of all the text messages and emails from January 6th from her and Lauren Boebert, the messages between the two of them, and I guess it's some pretty damning stuff.
well, and he got the text messages from all of them: Josh Hawley, Paul Gosar,
Yep. Right.
Jim Jordan, all those guys. So that's going to come to light, and it's going, not to mention the Secret Service. You got all that
Yeah.
too, in spite of the fact they said, "Oops, we lost it." So there's a lot of damning stuff. Margie really fucked herself over.
Oh
She
yeah.
she thought if she would align herself with Kevin McCarthy, she would gain more power. But now MAGA is not a fan of McCarthy. And because she's connected to McCarthy, now MAGA doesn't like Marjorie
Yeah,
Taylor
they've
Greene.
turned on her.
Well,
Yeah.
they have. And now she's trying to get it back by talking up Donald Trump, and it's just not going to work. I mean, these people
Yeah.
are vindictive, and once you've done what you've done, Margie's fucked. She's just
Yeah.
in deep, deep trouble
Yeah.
because MAGA doesn't want her and Kevin McCarthy doesn't have enough power to do fucking anything. And the rest of the
Mm-mm.
Republicans can't stand the bitch.
No, exactly. Everybody thinks she's a loser, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
and Lauren Boebert's getting her butt kicked in Colorado. She's gonna lose in 24.
Yeah, I think that's
Her
true.
new rival, oh yeah, he has out campaigned her money wise 3 times
Right.
the amount. And yeah, and Ted Cruz, his Democratic opponent, has outraised him by 3 times. He's now losing in Texas.
Well, that's kind of what I'm sensing, the whole vibe about politics now. There was a time when Donald Trump was president. It seemed like everything the Republicans did, no matter how shady, no matter how sketchy, they kept winning. They had the power, they had the momentum. That momentum has shifted. Now everything is going against the Republicans, and it's going to
Yeah.
pick up speed as we get closer to 2024. And you're going to see
Yeah.
people like Ted Cruz get beat. Certainly Lauren Boebert's going to get beat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but they're going to take a hit in the House of Representatives. And I think, if Ted loses, that gives us an extra one in the Senate. So
Yeah. And
we're
George Santos is headed to prison. You know that. And
yeah.
I think that district will definitely put in a Democrat this time.
Yeah, I think they're probably frustrated by what they've
Yeah.
been stuck with, and I think they're a little embarrassed by
Mm-hmm.
having George Santos there. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they went Democrat.
Yeah.
Generally, the Republicans are going to have a rough road with all the shit that's come out about them. I mean, whether
Yeah.
they were personally implicated or not, the fact that they're associated with Donald Trump or
Yep.
Lindsey Graham or whoever the fuck else, that's going to hurt them. There's nothing the Republicans have done since 2020 that gains support or helps anybody in the election. They've done everything they've done is hurt themselves.
Oh
And
yeah.
and they're going to feel it in 2024. There's no question.
Now is Lindsay up for re-election in 24? I haven't
Uh,
heard anything on him.
let me check. He might be either 24 or 26. Um, but Lindsay's going to have problems too. He's got some people
Yeah.
running against him. He's going to have
Yep.
Republicans running against him, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I'm thinking that even if it's another Republican, he will be voted out. I think the people in that state are tired of him.
Yeah, yeah. He's his connection to Donald Trump and the fact that he refuses to go against him um, is going to hurt him. It says he assumed office on January 3rd, 2003. His current term ends on January 3rd, 2027. So he's not in 2024, he's in 2026. But don't be surprised if he gets forced out before then.
No, I hope so. I really, really do, because I'm still waiting for him to come up as a unindicted co-conspirator
Yeah.
somewhere,
Yeah.
because he was knee deep into this as bad as anybody else.
Well, he made two calls to Brad Raffensperger. He's as culpable as Donald Trump or anybody else, but he doesn't
And
show up in any of the paperwork. You have to,
yeah,
you can't imagine. I can't imagine that Fani, even though she had him testify because he had to show up and testify, I can't imagine Fani said, "Oh shit, I forgot him." I don't think that happened.
no, no, and I can't see her giving him full immunity for anything he had to say. And do you know he called Arizona too? He's being investigated in Arizona because he called Arizona too.
Well, and that's the thing that we're all waiting to hear about too. Some people think that Donald Trump will get indicted in Arizona. I'm not so
I
sure.
agree.
Hopefully that's the case, but we have Michigan too, who indicted the co-conspirators, and they're
The
leaving the
fake
feds to the
electors.
feds. Yeah,
Yeah.
the fake electors. But they seemingly are leaving the Fed stuff to the feds, and Arizona could do that too. Just because they're looking into this and possibly sending out indictments, that doesn't mean Donald Trump's going to get one from Arizona. That doesn't mean he's not either. It's just
Yeah.
we shouldn't get too excited until we know what we know.
Well, somebody said the other day, and I think you said it too, is he said, made a statement about 7 indictments.
Oh, did he? No, I
Where,
didn't hear that.
no, wasn't you? No, because everybody's trying to figure out, okay, where he got 7. Arizona would be the 5th, but where are the other 2 coming from?
Well,
Does he
there's
know something we don't? That's what the question was.
well, he could very well. He seems to flag things before they show up. I mean, he could be getting one out of Bedminster from Jack Smith. There could be
Yeah,
some other superseding indictments against him. Um, there could be one in Arizona, possibly Michigan. I think before it's all said and done, he'll get 5 or 6 indictments at least, because I don't
yeah.
think we're near done yet. It's not
No,
even
we
close.
can't be.
No.
There's no way, because there is so many people still out there that were, directly involved that aren't haven't their names haven't even been mentioned.
Right. Well, with Donald Trump, though, I mean, anything else we get as far as indictments or charges, I like to think of it as just frosting on the cake
On
because
the
we
cake, yeah.
because we've got enough to end him right now.
Oh yeah.
That we
More
don't
than
need any more.
it,
We
yeah.
don't need any more indictments or charges. There's no way Donald Trump survives 91 felony charges. It's just
No
not
way.
going to happen. That's
Mm-mm.
that's that's why I get frustrated when people say, "Well, what will he get elected from jail?" He's not going to get elected to anything. He's going to be
No,
so
no,
buried.
because this whole thing about disqualifying him and taking him off the ballot is really gaining some life.
Yeah.
Like I said, the people are starting to file lawsuits, and now, and that judge and that scholar, that constitutional scholar, put out that report, and people are just running with it.
Yeah.
So, I don't, people are saying even if he got 50 years out of 91 charges, okay, let's say if he gets 50 years, he's a goner.
If he
If
gets
he
five,
gets 5 years, he's
yeah, he's
probably a
done.
goner.
He's done. Well, he'll be taken out of the equation, whether he survives or not. He's done. Um, yeah,
Yeah, that's where I was going with that thought. Because of that 14th Amendment, if he is convicted and thrown in jail, I can guarantee you people are going to go with the 14th Amendment and say, no, he's not running.
well, the important thing to understand is we don't need 40 or 50 states to file these lawsuits and take him off the ballot. We only need one or two red states to take him off the ballot. And then he's
Right,
mathematically not possible to win because he's
right.
not going to win the blue states. And if, you know, what was there, three swing states that he was particularly cost him the race, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia. If you took
Georgia.
if you took all three of those off the table for him, he can't win.
No, no. Actually, if you take Michigan off the table, which they are already talking about doing it, he can't win.
Yeah.
I don't think, right? I
Well,
mean,
yeah, maybe Michigan is big enough. I mean, I'd have to figure it out, but Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania were pivotal for Donald Trump, and he lost all of them. And he
right.
lost what 370 to 303 or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah,
It wasn't even close. And if you just take them off the table and give it to Joe Biden, it's not even a race. This will drive the media nuts because once they take them off
mm-hmm.
the table and there is no race, they
Yeah,
can't promote the hell out of this big heavyweight match because it'll be nothing.
right. Exactly. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually starting to lean toward the he's not going to win the nomination
No,
idea
no.
because with all these court cases coming up and slowly the Republicans are turning on him. I know the undecided, the independents are definitely moving away from him. So I don't see him even being the nominee anymore.
No,
I
I
don't know
know.
who it would be. They
Well,
don't really have anybody.
it's certainly not
It
going to be
better not
Ron.
be.
It's not going to be Ron DeSantis.
No,
Did you hear the rumor that Donald Trump put out about Ron DeSantis
I
yesterday?
did hurt. Yeah.
He said that he had heard that Ron DeSantis is going to drop out of the presidential race,
And run for Senate.
which wouldn't surprise me at all, and then run for the Senate
Senate.
against Rick Scott. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I could see that happening. I mean, you got two evil motherfuckers running for the Republican Senate seat. That may be a sure thing for any good Democrat to come in and whip both their asses.
Well, I'll tell you, my honest opinion about that, Mike, is that DeSantis has destroyed his reputation. He has destroyed uh, his people's confidence, especially after this shooting
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. And he got booed horribly,
Well,
and
that's
people
it.
said telling him to go home. How dare you show up here? You know,
Right.
you've got some nerve being here. This is your fault.
Well, I think Ron DeSantis is understanding that on a nationwide level, he's not well liked. And
No.
he presumed, well, at least I can win in Florida because I won the governorship. And now he's finding out what, like you say, when he goes back, he gets booed. People are tired of
Hmm.
his shit. You got taxes too high.
Yeah.
People can't get insurance.
Inflation.
There's no construction going on. They have the highest inflation in the country. You've got free gun laws, and people are getting shut up as we speak. So his
Hmm.
popularity has dropped like a fucking rock, not only in
Right.
America, but in his own home state.
Right. And that's why I don't think he could even win a Senate run.
No,
I don't.
I don't think he can. And the thing about it is I don't know that Rick Scott can either. He's got some
No.
problems. His whole talk about um, getting rid of Medicare and Social Security in a state that is probably majority 55
Right.
plus.
Right.
Yeah, how do you think
Right.
they're
It's a
going to respond to
retirement
that?
state.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. He's an idiot. I don't see him winning anything either. So I don't know what they're gonna do. Um what's that guy's name that ran Charlie,
Charlie Chris.
Charlie Chris. I wonder if he would run again. I really liked him.
Yeah, you know, Charlie Chris was a Republican and then he became a Democrat. I don't think Charlie Chris was a very good candidate. There's going to have to be somebody better than that
Hmm.
to run in the Democratic Party. Um, I can't say I dislike him because I don't know much about him, but he was a Republican and he thought that would
Right.
help him. But I think he ran a pretty shitty race. He could have had at least a better showing with Ron DeSantis, but he got his ass whipped. I don't know
Yeah.
why he'd want to run again. I don't think he will. I don't know who
No.
would be a better candidate, but there's got to be
Yeah, I
somebody
don't
in
know.
Florida that's Democrat that has half a fucking brain.
And I'm sure the Democratic people in Florida have already thought about this. I'm sure they're trying to put somebody together. I would
Yeah,
hope.
I would hope so, because obviously Ron DeSantis hasn't done well for them.
No.
But I think Ron DeSantis is out of the mix when it comes to the presidential race. I honestly never believed Donald Trump would
No.
be the nominee. I mean, he can't
No.
get to this golf tournament. We've got this trial in Washington D.C. starting on March 4th, which also happens to be Super Tuesday. That's
Yeah, yeah.
inopportune. And,
Yeah.
and you know, his lawyers are trying to make a thing out of it. Well, he's got this to
I,
do and that to do. And the judge basically said there's nothing more important than what's going on in this case. Everything else is your fucking day job, your problem. And that's
yep.
not what they want to hear.
Yep. No, she said if you were, I've had athletes before me that say they can't go to trial because they have to play. Well, guess what? I didn't let them do it either. So,
No.
this is your number one priority. This is what should be number one right now. And it's up to you to make that your priority.
Well, you know, I think if the possibility of spending the rest of your life in jail isn't your priority, maybe you need to check your fucking priorities.
But in his feeble mind, he doesn't think he's going to go to jail.
I wonder about that sometime, you know, because all of the bravado and bullshit and bluster that he puts out there, it is all just a mask for some deep set insecurities. I think in his
Hmm.
heart of hearts, when he's alone, he realizes I'm fucked. There's nothing I can
Yeah,
do. So I got to go out there and talk shit just to get out of it.
right. I think you're right. Because if he shows any sign of weakness whatsoever, his base is going to lose it. So
Oh, yeah.
he's not going to show any sign of weakness whatsoever. And he's just that so egotistical. And he believes that he's above the law.
He
But
does.
like you said, when he's alone with his own thoughts, I guarantee you he's just shitting bricks.
He's got to be. I mean, like I say, 91 felonies. The DAs that are charging him have a conviction rate of 98 to 99%.
Right.
If I'm a gambling man, I'm putting the house on Donald Trump going to jail because
Yeah.
he can't win that. He just can't.
No, no. And yeah, I'm just somebody who said the other day, it's up to the judge to decide whether he goes to jail. And I I'm thinking to myself, oh Lord, if they let him go home on home confinement, I am just gonna give up. But they said, the judge has that option to do that. And I'm thinking, what judge in their right mind, after everything he's threatened them with, would actually give him home confinement?
Well, and here's the problem with it, though, is that even if he does get home confinement, where's he going to go if Letitia James took his homes away?
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's going to have to learn how to live the van life, like on TikTok.
Yeah.
He could,
Well, he'll still have Bedminster because remember they can't take that from him.
yeah, I understand what you're saying about that, but I also know Donald Trump and the Trumps are dumb motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Do you think they crossed every T and dotted every I on that deal? You think there's not a way that can be taken away from them? I don't know. I mean,
I
we
don't
heard
know. But
it,
why would you bury this poor woman on a golf course? She was not a golfer. She was not interested in golf. She was a very classy lady, and you bury her on the first hole of your golf course?
Unless he was thinking
did that
ahead.
on purpose.
Well, yeah, he did it on purpose. But it's ironic he wasn't even married to her at the time, so it had to be her
Exactly.
kids that allowed this.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly.
I
But
wouldn't. I
that
wouldn't.
made it a family cemetery, and the land cannot be taken.
Is it just the land around the grave, or the whole thing? That's the
No,
thing.
well, you know what, Mike? That's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I,
I mean,
I
how would you like fence off that little area where she's buried and just sell the rest of the property?
or just cut off that section and take the rest. I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't take one body in one grave and say it's allotted to 40, 50 acres. Like
yeah. I'm agreeing with you there.
like I said, Donald Trump and his family thought they gamed the situation, but we know
Hmm.
every time they try to game the situation, they fuck up. They're wrong.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm going to appeal the trial date.
yeah.
Good job, Donnie.
Does his attorneys not talk to him before he puts this stuff out? I honestly, the
No,
stuff that he says, his attorneys should be saying, look, don't say those things. You are going to get in trouble. But they don't.
well, it doesn't matter what they say because he doesn't listen to them. He just goes off half
Yeah,
cocked, says whatever
there
comes
is
out of his
that.
mouth. And then on
Hmm.
top of it, he tells his lawyers what to say, even though they know it's stupid. I don't understand the whole dynamic there, why lawyers would do that. But apparently they're so afraid of Donald Trump, they do it.
You can tell too. Have you read some of the court documents? It's like you can almost hear Donald Trump saying
Oh,
what
yeah.
they, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
I noticed that in some of the filings that they filed. It's like, okay, Trump told them to put that in there. It
exactly.
sounds just like him. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap things up for the Rational Boomer podcast. Lisa, I want to thank you for joining me, helping me get through this kind of a busy day on Monday. And you were able to provide a lot of information I didn't have, and I appreciate that. I'm
Oh, no
just,
problem.
you're kind of the play by play, and I'm just the color commentator. You say what you say, and I go, yeah, that's fucked up. And that's my job, you know?
You're funny.
So I thank you for coming by. Those folks that have been listening, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.